Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani. I have with me in the studio once again today Father Hycinth Ichoku, Professor of Economics and Vice Chancellor of Veritas University in Abuja.
Thank you very much.
Father, you are welcome.
Thank you, Judge.
Now, you are Vice Chancellor of one of the universities in town, and in recent times, universities have been in the news.
Yes.
And there's a major problem that our society has to cope with, and it concerns the values of young people. We are hearing of a lot of Yahoo among young people. Yahoo meaning fraud, internet fraud. In recent times, the hush puppy and Woodbury and e-money and all kinds of the values of our young people who seem to be following around celebrities, celebrities that have little to teach in terms of values.
Yeah.
So, and these young celebrities are competing with universities for influence and imparting values.
Yes.
I mean, if you read Cardinal Newman's The Idea of a University.
Yes, yes.
Now, what is happening is that ill-educated, poorly educated people or almost illiterates are the ones that are directing our young people. I mean, you go to your university or any university and see who are the people they admire.
Yes, you're right.
It's an irony that a student is in a university and the people that are his mentors, icons, are these quote-unquote celebrities that have little to offer in terms of lasting values.
Yeah, yeah.
Then in recent time, we have had the scandal of rising rate of criminal rape in our society. Yeah. Rape, I mean, the criminal dastardly act of rape. And it is increasing among young people, and the universities are not spared. In fact, one of the most brutal, dastardly report we had happened with university students of one or two of our big universities. Then, I mean, I even heard the case of one university student, a female, arranging for the rape of another university student. Got 7 boys to rape her friend.
Serious.
Now, what it says is that our values are upside down. We are now confronted with the case of a naked public square. Our public square is denuded, completely naked. Now, what is the role of the university in this context? I am aware that recently there was a bill passed in the parliament to protect university students from randy lecturers. Sexual harassment bill against sexual harassment in our universities. Unfortunately, this has been in the news for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And we have some celebrated cases of sexual harassment where the young people, students, filmed what was happening. Even BBC, there was a BBC documentary on it also, meaning that it is a rising phenomenon, an ugly phenomenon. So, you are Vice Chancellor of a university. You are ultimately responsible not only for the academic life of the school, but also for the moral life of the school, of the institution. When you guys give university certificates to people, you say, haven't been found worthy in character and learning.
Yes.
And it is instructive that we call character first.
Exactly.
Haven't been found worthy in character and learning. We award you this certificate. And so it is an anomaly to have an armed robber who went to university, to have a 419er, Yahoo boy who went to university, or a rapist who went to university. So I'm asking you, what are you doing to make sure that Veritas University, your university, which is owned by a church, what are you doing to make sure that anybody that passes through that university, that the university with all its ideals also pass through that person?
Thank you very much, Judge. I think it's a very good question you have raised, a very serious issue you have raised, and which is a big challenge to our society in general. I used to hear Monsignor John Anyagwin was telling me, that he could if he goes to UK, for instance, and hears that a Nigerian raped somebody, that he could swear
that it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. It wasn't a Nigerian. And invariably, it was proven true. But, these days, things have really changed. Again, it's just because of change of values over time, beginning from the family, from our family values.
So the change of values began from?
The family. It's all about the family. When you have unstable marriages, when you have broken families, when you have parents who don't have time again for their children, and all that. As you said, outsourcing your responsibilities to the teacher from the early stage of childhood.
You see, I'm into developmental psychology.
Yes.
I'm a student of developmental psychology, and I have learned that children develop their values and their temperaments, a lot of what makes up the personality of the adult within the first 5 years of a child's life.
Okay.
Unfortunately, within these first 5 years, many parents are absent from the life of their children.
Yes.
People are going to work 3 months after delivering a baby,
yes.
some even less than 3 months,
yes.
and abandon the child to some nanny, and later to some creche.
Yes.
And then they start shouting when the child becomes a teenager or young adult that this child is misbehaving.
Yeah. Because the values were not correct from the beginning. They were not, were not inculcated with the right values. So why I'm saying all this is because the influence in the university comes from the family, comes from, it's a carryover from the creche, the primary, the secondary school, ages they carry it over to the university. So when you come to the university, then they are more or less adolescents. They are,
adolescents or young adults. Yes.
Young adults. They are now young adults, and they are coming of age. They are particularly even for people who have not, people who came from very good families. The sense of a university is that you have won your freedom from parents, won your freedom from controls, around you, and then you find that this child is now trying to be himself.
Find his personality.
Find himself, define himself, define herself. And so if you don't have controls at that level, then they can easily, and that's exactly what you find in most universities, particularly public universities. So but Veritas University in Abuja here is founded by the Catholic Bishops Conference of Nigeria. The idea was to see, a university that offers both intellectual development and the moral development of the student.
That is the idea behind the founding.
That is exactly the idea. So the idea is then that a child that passes the portals of this university will be able to come out with values that's reflective of the university's values. And so that's exactly, so the point is, and that's why it's fully residential. Veritas University is...
you don't have people coming from outside?
No, we don't have students coming from outside.
It's fully residential.
It's fully residential. So if you're going to school in Veritas, it's fully we don't have, because, you don't want a situation where somebody is in the university, is a student of the university, but is living in one village, on one corner.
And belonging to some cult, some gang outside the university.
Some gangs outside the university. And so it makes it, so because everybody is within the ambience, is within the university premises, there's a level of control.
Wait. I just mentioned cult just now. I hope your university doesn't have cult.
No, I'll tell you now. I can tell you that we don't even, you can't even try it. No, you can't even try it.
But cults are illegal in every university.
No, that's what I'm telling you. You can't even try it because there are mechanisms all over the university system to sniff. Even to smoke, what is more rampant is, among people is all this smoking of
people don't smoke in Veritas.
Well, try it. I can just give you, let me tell you what we do. Because what we rule out is the possibility of gang or group or cult.
Yes.
That is completely zero.
Zero.
I can give you assurance. But in terms of smoking, in the past, we've had students getting involved in smoking hemp or Indian hemp and all these other, illicit drugs. But we have put a strong rule in place. You can't even try it now, and if you do, the consequences are severe. But we do also monitor, because the influence is always from outside. And if you get, because we have serious security in our university, even
and the security are empowered to check these things.
Of course, that's exactly what they do, and even to monitor, the villages around to ensure that there is no. I can tell you that we have even securities that monitor. We have network of security people monitoring things happening around you, not just inside the university, around the university, to ensure that these bad influences don't come into the university. And in occasions, they have discovered, hideouts. They have discovered hideouts where people go to sell, and they have already had issues with those people, and they have met cases with those people. Because these are potential areas of influence into the university. We try to nip them in the bud. So, but inside the university, we have, as I said, we have serious mechanisms put in place to ensure that our students don't get involved. But on occasions, one or two occasions, we have had a student or two who have had coming in into the university with,
with problems.
With a problem. And what I say, the consequences are very severe for us. One, you are restricted for 1 academic year. 2, you must go to JOS
for rehabilitation.
And you must get a certificate of rehabilitation before you are reabsorbed in the university. We don't want to destroy completely the student's life. But these conditions.
That is very interesting, and I think that is a very good approach. That is to say, if a student is caught taking hemp, is rusticated for 1 year.
Because,
within that 1 year, he goes for rehabilitation.
You go to rehabilitation where we are sure that he will be certified, and you bring certificate of rehabilitation before you come back.
Great.
Okay, so we're also working with some other institutions. We're working with, proposing to work with Kaduna, the psychiatric center in Kaduna, and other institutions. So, but the idea is rehabilitation
rather than just punish.
Yes. So we give them a chance. But if you are caught a second time, if you do it a second time, then you have no place again in the university. We simply ask you to go and try elsewhere, because we don't want you to be bad influence on the rest of the students.
Now, the staff, both teaching and non-teaching staff.
Yes.
What mechanisms do you have in place for the staff to recognize that they are meant to reparent these children, these young people? Because, you have just talked about home, how a lot of homes are not the kind of place they should be that can nurture good children. So when many people come into the university, they have lacked proper parenting.
Exactly.
How aware are your staff, both teaching and non-teaching, of the fact that a major task before them is not just to teach mathematics, or to teach economics, or to teach whatever, that a major task is moral regeneration?
Beautiful. Yeah, we actually realize this, and it's very, very important, because we don't assume that every student coming into the university is already made, is already properly formed. So what we do is to assign, every hostel has got a hostel administrator. Above that, and more importantly, a hostel master or mistress who is responsible for the mentoring. We call it mentoring group.
So these hostel administrators are not just to make sure that they are on bed when they are supposed to be in the room, but also to form them.
Exactly. That's what we have as mentoring groups, mentoring. Now, the role of the hostel master in our case is to ensure that not just that the rules are kept, but also to direct the young people into correct values.
About how many students are are in each one of these groups with a mentor? About how many students are?
No, in a group, a typical group, you have like 20, 30 students. Okay, under a mentor.
This mentor, what is the profile of this mentor? What kind of a human being? What kind of a person is this mentor?
They are purposely selected among the staff. Males for males, females for females. But we also people who we have assessed properly and be sure that they are going to be good mentors to these students. Those people who can be models. Yes, they are models, because you have, first of all, for instance, if you're a female mentor, you can't be dressing, you can't be dressing shabbily
and be a mentor,
to younger people.
You can't come out of a home where you and everybody knows you and your husband are fighting every day, right?
And they're mentoring young people. No. So that's what exactly. These are some of the criteria we use in selecting mentors. People who can play the role of, he said, in place, in parento.
Yes.
How do you say it?
Yes, in sui parento. How do they say it in Latin? You're in place of the parents.
In place of parents. So these are people who can. But let me tell you what has happened is that it's become like more of competition among our mentors. What they do is, because you have to report to you have to go to your hostel and ensure, if for instance a student is celebrating birthday, the mentor, the hostel master, the mentor, and the other student will often gather together to celebrate. First of all, the idea is first of all to build a bond.
To help the student know that he or she is valued.
Yes, to build, some bonding among students and with the staff. Okay, so that bonding is very helpful, because that also helps us to identify students who are deviants in the group. Because once you have the good bonding among even some of the mates, even some of the hostel mates or classmates can actually call a child to order. Because they belong
to the same mentoring group.
Yes. Sometimes they also say prayers together. We ask them to say prayers together. Watch television together, or as much as possible. And so, if a child is, for instance, always not attending lectures, it is then the classmates
that will challenge this child and find out what is wrong. This is very important.
You see, they do it very well.
It is very important.
They do it very well.
I'm happy that you are having not only a vertical mentoring relationship, but a horizontal mentoring relationship, where it shouldn't be a one-way traffic. And what you're saying fits into that. Where earlier today, I was just telling a parent that complained about her adult's son misbehaving, and I said, look, why don't you involve a friend of your son?
Okay.
Because at this age, your son may not listen to you, but is likely to listen to a colleague.
Yes.
So, horizontal mentoring, bonding these students together, and having mentored them, helping them to mentor one another, I think it's a very good approach. And like you said, you can create that bonding by affirming them when they are celebrating birthday.
Exactly.
If somebody loses a parent, coming together to solidarity. Then they can then listen to you.
Exactly.
When you challenge the way they are dressed. Because they belong to this family.
You are right.
That's a good one. Now, let's talk about the issue of sexual abuse that has become such a major scandal. What are the mechanisms that your university has put in place to ensure that we don't hear such an ugly story of staff or lecturers harassing students or intimidating students and so on and so forth? What mechanisms have you put in place? Because I am aware that not only the government regulations, not only the regulations of NUC, but also even the church, since it's a church institution, has regulations, strict regulations now. What have you done?
No, first of all, first it begins with convincing these children and the mentors that this is a no-go area. Okay, first of all, that this is a no-go area. Any kind of relationship between a student and the staff that is not formal relationship,
like husband and wife.
That no, even if you have a pre-arrangement or an arrangement prior to coming into the university, you have to declare it. Okay, you have to conflict of interest declaration. We have to do it, and it's a very important area. Conflict of interest. If you have by any means any prior arrangements, you have to declare it to the university. Mm-hmm. Secondly, one again is that, as I said, we don't allow students to go out of the university anyhow, yes. Without strong checks and balances. And finally, and also important, is that every staff of the university has had to sign an indemnity form with the university.
Indemnifying the university against any randy behavior.
Any randy behavior is your personal responsibility. Even myself, I've had to sign as vice chancellor. I've had to sign my own indemnity form for against any issues arising from this kind of misbehavior. So that's exactly what we do, and so you try that helps to curtail extent of randy.
So you mentioned formal. So you have limited relationship of students and to staff to just formal relationships.
Formal relationships, yes.
Academic, you have gone to this lecturer for guidance in academics, and it should remain at that level.
Exactly. That is the way we look at it. Things can, if after school, after you graduate, you have any kind of relationship,
we are not in control of
we are not in control of that. But insofar as it's within the school, the university, Veritas University.
What have you done? I mean, since we have been hearing all this news around, have you had a workshop or two?
Oh yes, we've had. That's a very important aspect. Before signing the indemnity form, we've had several workshops.
I remember.
Of course, which one you also attended?
I was at one of them.
Yes, you attended one of them.
Good.
But we also have orientations for staff. Let me say, at the beginning of any academic session, any academic, we have series of. In fact, we devote like 2 weeks to staff orientation.
Yes.
All about issues like these, commitment, relationships with the students, and all that. We invite outstanding persons in society to facilitate such. Like you did one, the former Mrs. Mojishola, the former registrar of University of Ibadan, just did the one of DCA. And we are thinking, and Ambassador Martin, maybe you know him, His Excellency.
Yes.
He's also a lecturer, so he's facilitated one of our. So what we do is, in actual fact, is that we get all these people at the beginning of the session. For 2 weeks, it's like a retreat period.
Are students aware of their rights and the limits in terms of relating with lecturers? Are they very clearly, from the first year student, the student that came in last year, are they very aware of their rights vis-a-vis the limits of the lecturer's rights?
Yes, of course. Sometimes we spend time. There's what we call the community mass. Remember what I sometimes discuss with you? Like, a time everybody in the university comes together. We call it community mass on Wednesdays.
Yes.
Every Wednesday by 12 o'clock, everybody, will come together as a family, students, staff. So that's where these things are explained to students.
And they are allowed to ask questions.
And they are allowed to ask questions. In fact, that provides us opportunity to, single out exemplary students, for people who have done, 1 or 2 outstanding things, either in terms of community service, in terms of performance, debate, and all that stuff. So we use that opportunity to highlight.
Very specifically, I would like to see, I don't know whether it is already functional, that in strategic places in the university, there are things that are pasted that indicate what is allowed, what is not allowed.
Oh yes. If you in fact, if you are coming, in fact, before you at the gate of the very gate of the university,
yes,
the very gate of the university, you see things that are not allowed. You know, the things that are not allowed are listed in a big signboard, like indecent dressing, don't do this, don't do that.
With regards to
the
this, rights of students and the
by the time you come into the university again, inside the university, at various strategic places, we have big signboards telling you this is not allowed. Smoking is not allowed. Don't get, exam malpractice is not allowed, and so on and so forth.
Don't go into lecturer's room to visit whatever.
No, these things are just clearly written. In fact, the next time you come, just get from the gate, you begin to observe them.
Well, with all these measures, we are hoping that your university, Veritas University, and all our universities should gradually overcome this terrible thing about sexual harassment, and not to talk of rape and so on. These are things that should not be heard of in a university, a place where values are supposed to be taught to young adults, and who will now go into the society to form the rest of the society.
No, so let me tell you that, if anything of such ever happens, just establishing the prima facie evidence, the lecturer is suspended. So, and then followed by an investigation, and a proper investigation.
I am aware that you have a standing committee.
Yes, of course, there is a committee on it. I didn't tell you that we belong to the group of universities called Globe Ethics Universities. I'm sure you facilitated one of the workshops.
We are part of Globe Ethics.
Globe Ethics. So we are part of the Globe Ethics based in Switzerland. And the idea is that university that subscribes to some ethical standards. And so we have a strong committee in the university that investigates all such matters, and where students can report all such matters.
Well, I mean, I'm actually specifically referring to, we have the child and vulnerable adults protection.
Yes, law. Yes.
Every Catholic institution now is supposed to have a committee.
Yes.
That makes sure that people are free to go report if there is anything, and so on and so forth. And I'm aware that you guys were discussing that, and perhaps you have already put that in place.
Yeah, no. As I said, it's headed actually by Father Peter, the canon lawyer.
Okay.
The canon is, and the lawyer now is a lawyer, and the canon is so. Yeah. So he's the head of he's heading the committee in charge of our ethics, and so every incident of this nature is reported to the committee.
Properly investigated.
And properly investigated.
On that note, we will bring this program to an end. I have been speaking with Professor Hycinth Ichoku, Vice Chancellor of the Veritas University, Abuja. We have been discussing the university and the challenge, the imperative of moral regeneration in Nigeria, what his university is contributing, and what care they are taking, what mechanisms they have in place to make sure that Veritas University and a lot of our institutions are not caught in these scandals of sexual abuse, of young people taking hemp, and of young people doing yahoo. The university should be a place which, when people pass through the university, no such thing should be heard about them. So thank you for the work you are doing.
Thank you very much.
We thank the staff, teaching and non-teaching staff of Veritas University, but also many of our private universities also for the work they are doing in this direction for better ethical and moral standards in our country. God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.